Welcome, everyone. My name is Jacob, and today we are on the second day of React Native EU 2023 in Wrocław. And I have my beautiful guest today here. If you could please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Matt Hargett, and apparently I'm beautiful.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
Awesome, Matt. Well, we are here today because you just had a really, really nice talk, and probably our viewers are very curious about it. So could you just briefly introduce me to your talk? What was it about? What was the title?
Yeah, it was about lifting and shifting the React Native or the React ecosystem over out of JavaScript and into new languages. And this is something that the community kind of played with in the past with Reason and a few other things. But at my last job, we did this kind of and deployed it at scale to hundreds of millions of users. And so, yeah, it was about that process, what the business context for that activity was, and then some technical details about what we learned while we did it.
I was following the chat on Expensify app just to see the questions, and I've seen a really interesting one. I didn't see your answer yet, so I'm curious about it. How did you convince people to actually go for this? Like managers and people around the business.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that different from convincing my employer at the time, Blue Jeans, to use React Native. I find like these innovation projects, one, there has to be a business outcome that the innovation is a fit for,
right?
And that's obvious to you and me, but maybe not to other people. They're like, innovation for no reason is great. So having a business driver with deadlines helps. But I think the other thing that really helps is organizing the project in 2 to 4 week chunks with discrete checkpoints, demonstrable checkpoints, where there's no faking it. You can't say, hey, it works when it really doesn't. And so with the porting React to Lua project, one of my former colleagues, Paul, did the scheduler port and had tests passing. And we were like, okay, this 2,000 lines of code translated from JavaScript into Lua. Yes, there were some modifications, but it matches about 90% directly to the JavaScript. And that kind of got us over the hump with people who said, Lua is so awesome and JavaScript sucks. There's no way you'll be able to bridge the gap, whatever. So we showed like, well, for this 2,000 lines of code, we can. And then we kind of just organize it in these kind of discrete chunks. And some people might call that style of project management or project creation agile or extreme programming, which I have a background in.
Right.
But I think when most people think of agile projects, they don't think of innovation projects, like let's do something nobody's done yet before. But I find that whether it was Blue Jeans in 2016, when we worked with Mike Grabowski and Microsoft to bring React Native to Windows 7 and 8.
Yeah.
There was a hard business driver. They didn't have a better idea. And I was like, well, tell you what, we will do this for 2 weeks and we'll have this demo. And if we don't hit the demo, we can bail.
So it's like a proof of concept, basically.
Exactly. And it's like, if you can just organize the project until there's no doubt about the risk, once it's fully de-risked and it's like, what else are you worried about? Performance. Okay, well, in our next milestone, we will benchmark the crap out of this and show hard numbers for everything. And so I think just by starting with that business constraint, what is that business goal? And kind of giving not just options, but being really honest and upfront about here's what I think the risks are. I don't think this is risk-free. Yeah. I think the risks are A, B, and C. So the first 3 milestones are to de-risk A, B, and C. And then I think being upfront that they're not trying to hide that there's risk. There is risk, but being able to fail fast and fail cheap.
Right.
And I think if you frame it that way, failure can be fine. It's like, well, hey, we failed, but we only spent $10,000 and now we know for sure it's option B, for instance.
Yeah.
And I think that executives and investors really appreciate that kind of bottom line up front, being focused on the business outcome, and being able to giving them an option every 2 weeks to bail or keep going, right?
So I mean, that's kind of the point of agile, right? Isn't it? Because you are able to do iterations. If one iteration fails, it's not like a half a year of a project worth, but
Right.
it's like 2 weeks, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And then we can go back to the old business.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you agree? Because from what I'm hearing now, would you agree that one of takeaways from your talk would be identify risks and be honest about them straight up front?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because the way I work anyway is usually what I'm doing, there is some element of innovation or risk to it. And so not because I love risk, but because usually I'm faced with some business environment or business constraint that is tough. It's not, hey, let's build an app with photo scrolling. It's like, hey, here's a $500 million a year business that every engineer that they add basically crashes by 5%.
Right.
That's not good. Everybody knows that. There's no argument about that. That's not sustainable. And so having kind of a business that, just really clear business goals and business constraints. Some people think that's doesn't allow for innovation. In my experience, it can if you, I think, just know how to sell it. And you sell it by going, this could or could not work. Here are the risks. And we're going to de-risk it step by step in 2-week chunks.
Right.
And the other thing with Agile, besides de-risking, is just like when you just have a feature stream, at some point, you might have identified 10 features, and the business might decide, hey, after feature number 8, we don't need the rest.
Yeah.
That's also fine. Yeah. Everybody got what they want, and you can everybody can walk away happy. And that can also happen even if it's not if it's more low-level, innovative, and not strictly an app feature sort of work stream.
Right. You see, more and more talks that I listen to, more and more speakers that I talk to, I get a feeling like this whole conference is all around communication in different ways, like communicating within the organization, communicating the risks and the values that you can get out of the innovation, and all kinds of things. Like just a few minutes ago, I've seen the talk by Jacob from Abbott that he was talking about communication between ants and how it can affect your technology. Yeah. This is crazy. So moving away from your talk for a sec and getting into the conference. So what is your general feeling about this year's edition of this conference?
Other than a small problem with the Wi-Fi today, this is the same venue that I've been coming to since I think 2017 or 2018. So when I came to React Native EU, and the venue is just so beautiful, and you tell me when to stop. But like the catering is awesome.
I know,
the
right?
little snacks are amazing. Everybody is very attentive. You want to know my favorite thing?
Yeah.
As someone who traveled a ways to get here, up on the terrace, they have not just hammocks where people can take a little nap, which I used yesterday, and it was amazing because I just need a 20-minute nap to get me through the middle of the day because of the jet lag. But not only were there hammocks, but there were these big umbrellas to block the sun so you wouldn't get sunburned while you took a nap.
Because we had like 30
attention to
degrees.
detail,
right?
Like just like thinking, not just like and I'm sure it's not one person; it's like a cast of dozens probably to make it all come together.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to pick a favorite thing besides the little snacks, the hammocks saved me yesterday, where I got to take a 20-minute nap, and then that gave me the get up and go and talk with people in person.
Right.
And I think the talks are great, but I think one of the, you can catch up on YouTube later, perhaps, or other video streaming services. But the big thing for me is just connecting with these people in person, even if you aren't giving a talk, because it's not the people that you'll meet. It's the people that you never would have heard of or met that you can connect with and find like-minded people.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's great. And I agree on snacks. I had too many of them already, so I'm trying to keep my belly up.
Yeah.
All right, one last question for those of our viewers who are watching it and thinking about coming here next year for React Native EU 2024. What would be your message to them?
I think that being able to, whether you want to work in the open source framework or not and become a React Native contributor yourself, right? There's a lot of great starter tasks. It's a lower barrier to entry than you think, but also if you're nervous about it, this is the place to be, because between CallStack and Meta and Microsoft and Amazon and other people, the core contributors are here. You can just walk up to them and they are all super friendly. They all want more contributors to come in and like give ideas, but also to contribute code and to help with the work, because it is a community effort. And so I think that that's the opportunity for folks, but then also for people that write at the application level and don't have any aspirations to dive into the framework.
Yeah.
There are so many real world React Native practitioners here that aren't just writing Medium blog posts and tutorials. They are shipping the apps.
Yeah.
They are supporting the hundreds of thousands or millions or tens of millions of users. They can tell you the realities of the good and the bad, or in the middle of what these things mean, and being able to ask those people directly, verbally, where they may not want to document stuff in an email necessarily, is completely invaluable. And so I think that whether you're getting started with React Native as an app developer, you have an existing app that's already kind of out there and gaining traction, or you have interest in kind of contribution, all three of those things, React Native EU is the only conference that I'm aware of where you can achieve all three of those things with the people that come to this conference.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much, Matt. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
See you over the party.
Sounds great.
Cheers.
If you liked what you've just heard, check out more of the conference content. Follow us on social media, subscribe to our newsletter, and see you at React Native EU 2024.